Good evening, Manchester United fans. New setup, new style, new everything. Welcome. Tonight we are going to talk about Manchester United's midfield options for January. And there are plenty. Now, look, we know as Manchester United fans watching the team this season that there has been a massive gap in the midfield. What we're hoping to do tonight, myself and Kev United, is go through this and try and help you understand who is going to fit better and what it is they exactly bring to the table. How you doing, Kev?
All right, mate. Not too bad at all. I've got my midfield options here, same as yourself. So yes, intrigued to see what everyone in the chat is thinking on these midfielders. I know we've got another horrific long week to wait before we're back on the field again, but here we go.
Excellent. Just quickly go in the chat a second, say hello to a few people. Chappie, who will not be here tonight, says he's got a birthday party tonight for one of his old rugby pals. Hope you have a great evening, mate. Salia, hope you are well. Good to see you. He says, he or she, I can't see the photo. I'd gladly go after Belabor and Anderson. If they are too expensive, then I go for Wharton and I go for Anderson. We've also got Ben. Hope you are well, Ben. Good to see you. Says, evening all. Likes and click the bell to subscribe. Fantastic work as always. Carl, good to see you. Andy, my main man, it says, evening all. With all of the talk of the takeover, will we have the money for the January transfers? We've got plenty to discuss about that as well, my friend. Echo everywhere, says Giles. Chat, let me know if there is an echo. I think you might have heard one a second ago because my YouTube went on completely ridiculously loud, so that's probably what you can hear. Good evening, Wahaha. We were just talking about you. Good to see you, mate.
Indeed, yeah.
And Subra, good to see you as well. Hi, Dan and the OGs. Good to see you all. And glory, Man United. Correct. So let's get into it now, Kev. As I said, we are looking at the moment at a Manchester United side that are we just missing those couple of players to sort this team out? Is it a fact of if we get that midfield sorted, then Ruben Amorim will have the team that he wants, the style that he wants, etc., etc.? What are your thoughts?
Well, actually, as you were saying that there, I'm thinking, are we wanting two midfielders or are we including our own current Mainu in this? Is Mainu in the discussion here as well as, because he'll almost be like a new player, as they say in the media. He's almost like a new player because we've not used him. Are we actually? Is he in the considerations for this midfield that we'd like? Because I think Bruno probably isn't, nor is Casemiro. I don't think either. So are we thinking two or are we thinking one?
I think so. There's a couple of things to go on with that. Now, obviously, there is news coming out that Mainu is still being courted and is very much wanted by Napoli. Now, bringing midfielders in the January transfer window, for me, it would have to hinge on Mainu going. And I know that's not what a lot of people want to hear. It's not what I want to hear because I think there's a very good midfielder in there who can do the job of what I think some of the midfielders we're going to look at. But I think there would be no point in bringing a midfielder in and keeping Mainu because he's already not playing football as it is. You've also got Ugarte, whose game time has been limited, mainly due to the fact that he is persisting with Casemiro. So I wonder if it's going to be a merry-go-round in January. And it's going to have to be because, look, we know that the club at the moment have been very much buying on the credit card. We know that we don't have the money some other clubs have to go out there and buy. But we also know that January is probably the best opportunity Manchester United are going to get to go out there and steal a march on some of these teams out there that we consider teams that could take these players away from us. Yeah. At the moment, Chelsea are looking in midfield. You've got Liverpool that are looking really strong in midfield. City are looking strong. Arsenal are looking strong. So I just kind of think
I've not even considered Ugarte either. He's not even in my considerations at all.
Not mine either, though, Kev. And chat, please get your comments in. When we talk about Ugarte and Mainu, is it a case of that these players just don't go into there anymore? Are we at a realization here that Mainu is just not going to get the chance at Manchester United? We said at the start of the season that Ruben Amorim had come out and said he saw Kobbie Mainu essentially fighting against Bruno Fernandes for that position in the central midfield. Well, we all know that Bruno is undroppable. They're not going to drop him. Even after him coming out after the game against City and calling out Lenny Yoro and calling out sort of bits about the tactics, saying he's not happy with where he's playing, this guy will play game in, game out. He will play there until he leaves. So let me know, chat, what you think. Now, it's interesting to say about Ugarte, Kev, because the players that we're going to look at, and we've got four, obviously, in the title there that we'll be discussing, all four of those players bring so much more to the team than Ugarte does. And Ugarte has had chances at Manchester United. And unfortunately, I think other than the City game where you could say he looked okay, he was breaking play up, I think he's fluffed his lines too many times. So for me, he'd be a player that I would expect to, if not go in January, go at the end of the season. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know how many games he's played. Maybe we can see that, but I think off the top of my head, he's maybe had 2 or 3 games where I've gone, okay, I can see why he's a Man United player, but that's not enough. That's really not enough, and I don't think he comes into the considerations actually now moving forward for the team. The system. Oh, don't mention the system, Dan. Don't mention the system. Yeah, I don't think he comes into it. But then I'm not sure whether Mainu does. I'd like to think that Mainu still would, but I don't know whether that's just hanging on to because he's a United lad and through the youth system and everything like that. So maybe us and the people in the chat have got a little bit of a connection to him because of that. But is he the right person? I'd hate to see him leave United, but it's maybe what we need to do. Same as Bruno. Bruno needs to be away. I was hoping he might go in January, but he's not going to go in January. He's going to stay now. So that's that.
This is the thing, and it's a great comment. And I know the chat I've seen a couple of comments here. We discussed we've always discussed the Manchester United way, And when I say that, it's normally the talk of how we play. So down the wings, counter-attacking, attack, goals, never go up until the final whistle. And what you've just said there, it kind of rings true. With Kobbie Mainoo, I think the issue we have here is it a case of us saying, but he's a Manchester boy? Because it has been quite alarming how less and less these younger players are getting into these teams, how less and less we're seeing the matchday squads full of these academy players. Now, the academy players we know from the age of 18 down, we've got some stunners in there. JJ Gabriel, we've got obviously Rooney, we've got Kone, we've got Shea Lacey, we've got Fredrickson, we've got plenty of them in there. Who else have we got? Vitek. We've got plenty of these players, academy players, but at the moment, I'm not sure that they're going to be given as much chances as we'd all like to see. Kobbie Mainoo has been making sporadic appearances, coming on for the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I saw it when I was in Gran Canaria, shameless plug, but I'll say it again. I saw it when I was there, when he was coming onto the pitch, and it was all over Twitter afterwards. The guy was getting, advice from Amorim. He just didn't look interested. He's just stood on the side of the pitch, sort of like, blank face. I'm just gonna okay, whatever. I'll just go on and do my thing. And there is, without a doubt, we all know that there is obviously something going on between Mainoo and Amorim. For the fact that he won't play him, for the fact that there was obviously he wanted to go before the end of the summer transfer window. When we look at the midfielders, and we'll go through them in a second, that we're going to bring in, I think if we brought 2 of those midfielders in, I think Mainoo would be gone. I think maybe we send him out on loan potentially, but I don't see a way back for him with the midfielders we're looking at under this manager. Now, this isn't a Ruben Amorim out conversation. I've said that far too many times, but I think we do have to come to a realization here as fans. It's very rare that a young player goes out on loan somewhere, comes back and hits and just does it and just appears part of the squad and someone that we can go again with. If he goes in January, Kev, I fear that's it for Kobbie Mainoo.
Yeah, well, there's always exceptions to rule. Maybe he goes out. He'd have to go to a Premier League club. It would have to be a Premier League team. And if he did really well, which he's capable of, he is capable of it because we've seen it. He was like, as we've said in other streams, Dan. He was a mainstay in that England World Cup campaign, or was it the Euros? Can't remember whichever was last. He was on the pitch every time, and we got so many plaudits for how well he played, and we burnt him out. It was what was said about Man United. We burnt him out because we just played him and expected so much of him. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe a loan deal. Yeah, I don't know. Because I've not even put him into my considerations today when I was thinking about midfielders. It's almost like on the spot. What do I think about Mainoo? I'm not sure maybe whether a loan deal would be what he needs.
Well, to be fair, Baba Flossie come in with a great comment. I've said that it doesn't happen very often. This is a great example.
Yeah, because that's what immediately what I was trying to think. Is there players that went out on loan and have come back and done well in the team? And yeah, there's one.
And Ahmad off the back of, if you remember, he went to Rangers and he was bloody awful. It was the Sunderland loan move that really ignited his career. Let me go through some of these comments, and we will go on to the players that we wanted to discuss. Evening, Never. Hope you are well. Giles says, I heard stuff today that had my head turning 360. Maguire and Bruno are taking the spot of players who are worse than them. Yep, it's so bad. We need to remove them ASAP. I have got stuff on Maguire later on, which we'll discuss. Wahaha, you should never be worried, mate. We were more worried about you because I hadn't seen you for a couple of days. That was Manu and Heaven are the ones he spoke about. They are so amazing. They must play over Maguire and Bruno. If they were that good, they would be playing. Jarl, with that, and I don't know what Kev's thoughts on this, but Heaven is so close to the start of his Manchester United career as an adult and as a footballer. The last thing we want is to throw this lad in game after game. He creates mistakes, ends up losing his complete head and his confidence. We saw in pre-season he was very, very susceptible, very nervy in those games, and pre-seasons where you really try out there and get your minutes and you get it out of your system. So with Heaven, I'm not so sure. With Manu, I agree with you. I think Manu should be potentially looking to be playing a couple of games over Bruno at the moment, because Bruno is, yes, he comes out with a couple of goals. Yes, he does. But there's so much more wrong with Bruno Fernandes's game in that central midfield role than there is right at the moment. But I take your point. Kev, is there anything you got on that?
Heaven, I think, needs to look at Lenny Oro a little bit. Lenny Oro went away in the end of the season, last season, and he came back like double the size that he was. He's a good player, Heaven is, but he definitely needs to be a bigger lad. He needs to bulk out a little bit.
I agree.
And I think there must be similar ages, him and Yoro. I think there must be fairly similar ages. I think he should be leading from what Lenny Yoro's done. I don't know whether he's as good as Lenny Yoro, but he's got the potential to be as good as Lenny Yoro. So I think he just looks a little bit lightweight, and I don't know. I think almost the games I've seen him in, he looked a little bit overconfident. He played a couple of good games for us. He got a lot of credit for them, and I think that maybe went to his head a little bit. And then he just seemed a little bit cocky in a couple of games and got done a little bit. And I wanted to say, because Starvan Murphy came in as well, so howdy to him as well. He's a little bit further up in the comments there, Dan. Yeah, so I just wanted to say hello to him because people.
Wahaha comes in with 3 Manu and 3 Xerxes. Xerxes definitely gone.
And Andy was saying as well, would we sell Xerxes Manu for 2 new midfielders? I would say yes to that.
Oh, I feel the first poll of the night coming on, Andy. Feel the first poll of the night. Let me get it in there. Let's go with a poll there. I like that, Andy. I like that. Hang on a minute. Xerxes and Manu to get to.
I don't know what he's doing with his mic. I think he's punching it as he's typing as well.
No, it's typing. Yes or no? Would you sell Xerxes and Manu for 2 new midfielders? I'm going to give you my answer to that straight away. No.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because the only reason I'm going to say, and this to you as well, Andy, is with the midfielders, we've got a midfielder at the moment that we can get rid of and make a lot of money on. So it wouldn't make sense to sell Manu when you've got Bruno Fernandes that you could get a hell of a lot more money for. You'd save a lot more money on wages as well. If it was for me, I'd say the 2 would be Xerxes and Bruno. That would be the 2 that I would sell for the midfielders.
Well, Bruno's set to go anyway, isn't he? So I think we need to remove that. He's going. He's going to go anyway. He's towards the end of his United career, maybe not footballing career, but he's towards the end of his United career now. That's his. The time is up. The hook's coming for Bruno soon enough.
Time waits for no man, Kev. Time waits for no man. Ben comes in and says, I think 2 midfielders will improve us a lot, but the squad needs more after that. And I agree. I do think if we got the 2 midfielders in, though, Ben and Kev as well, I think it changes the dynamics of the team a lot. I think at the moment, the term square pegs, round holes, we know Bruno is a big, probably the biggest square peg we've got in that team. And also with us persisting to play Casemiro, who he's just too old. He can't last it anymore. There was, in the last 10 minutes against Sunderland, there was that tired clumsy challenge that he did that got the yellow, and you saw straight away Amorim was like, get off. You go, off you go. Giles says there's something about Maguire not taking a 500 grand a week contract and instead will take a 100k contract at United instead. There is, and I'll talk about that in a bit. I have got more on that to discuss. Baba Flashy says we bought Ugarte to be our Rodri. Sorry, yes, we did. That failed miserably. Would Mainu get into the midfield of a top four? He would if he played for Manchester City, because Pep would absolutely mould this kid into something special. And right, I tell you what, we'll put a pin in it there. We'll come back to those comments. Kev, we've been obviously looking at the midfielders, and the first person I want to bring up, and I'll bring him up on screen. First one for me, Elliot Anderson. Now,
don't mention Anderson. The Forest fans will be unhappy.
Now, the first bit on here, of course, can play central midfield. Is more a central midfielder than he is a defensive midfielder. 5 games in central midfield this season so far. Passes per match, 79.7. Pass completion, just under 89%. Key passes per match, 1, so he's averaging over 1 a game. Dribbles, 18 in 7 matches, and his tackles per 90 is 2.6. What have you got on Anderson, mate? Because for me, he's
not in any of my considerations at all. He's not in there at all. He's not even mentioned in the research that I've done. He's not even come up. But we in the stream the other day we did, he was definitely one. And even my brother, who's the Wolves fan, highlighted him as being a good player for United. And I was obviously seen him play live and said he's outstanding. So I've got nothing to say on Anderson other than I would take him. I definitely would take him, but he's not even coming. I've looked at 7 midfielders, and he's not even mentioned as one of them. So I don't know whether the connections are just not strong enough, the ties are not strong enough for the talk that's been going on. But yeah, I would like Anderson as well. I would like him to come into the midfield. But is there other players that would get in there first instead of Anderson? I'm not sure, but I think definitely an option.
I think, look, for me with Anderson, Elliot Anderson, I think out of the 4 that we're discussing, maybe still it would be a little less. I think out of the ones that we're talking about, I think he would cost relatively cheaper than some of the others.
Where was he before, Dan? Was he at Brighton or something like that?
So he never
played. They didn't play.
He was part of the PSR bollocks that they were doing, swapping players around clubs. But I tell you what you've got with Elliot Anderson. You've got a young lad who is still young, who plays box to box, very controlled on the ball. We talked about last season when he was in a very, very defensive side that aimed to hit on the counter-attack, which meant that for large parts of the game, Elliot Anderson's game was protecting, picking the ball up, and then being part of that transition to push forwards, normally to feed Elanga, normally to feed Gibbs-White, or to play a ball through to Chris Wood. Now, people are saying he's too attacking, and I understand that, but I don't actually think he's as attacking as people are making out. What you have with Elliot Anderson is, I think, that good old-fashioned box-to-box that is just as equally adept at picking the ball up from the back as he is about pushing forward and making that pass. Yeah. I think his energy that he brings, you watch him in Nottingham Forest, he does not stop running. I don't think we can comment too much on the Wales game because, let's be honest, and I hope there's no Welsh fans in here, but they were absolutely shocking. They were shocking. It was like watching United against another side. It really was. It was like watching United Grimsby. You know, Wales were United and England were Grimsby that day because they just couldn't lay a glove. They couldn't lay a glove. But I think Anderson, when you talk about players wanting that next move to take them, further in their career, we've seen the unrest at Nottingham Forest this season. It looks like they're on the brink of sacking Big Ange after 6 or 7 games. Players want that consistency, and for 3 managers in one season, and look, we did that last season, albeit Ruud van Nistelrooy was the caretaker manager. If United are going to give Ruben Amorim the chance to hold on to this job and to build something here, well, then he's probably got the consistency there. For me, I would be putting Anderson as one of my top targets in January. I think you go in there in a club that's in disarray at the moment, and you tempt him and you say, look, is the player interested? Now, we know from the start of this season that the big thing that we as Manchester United prided ourselves on was we would only go for players who are interested. So it'd be interesting to see if he fancied us. Give us one of your players then, Kev.
Well, the one I was talking about, I can't say his name, is Humlan. He's come out on top on everything that I've looked at and would seem to be an automatic fit into the system. And yeah, I've looked at a few little clips of him. He looks very good. But I think my number one that I'd like to take is Wharton.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Kev.
I think that's my number one.
This
if we
is
can
what
get
I
none of the others, I think that's the one I would like. Adam Wharton, yeah, absolutely.
So as you can see there with Adam Wharton, the main thing here, he is a defensive midfielder. Played 9 times for Palace there this season. Now, the thing with this, his passes per 90, 31, so relatively lower. His tackles are 1, just over 1. Interceptions are nearly 1.5, and his clearances are basically 1. This guy is all about breaking up that play and creating opportunities for the midfield to go on and do their job. I've watched him a few times this season, and I've got to say, Kev, I don't know about you, I've been impressed, mate.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And I didn't really know anything about him until I started sort of paying more attention to him. And he is impressive. And you know, as we were talking before we came on stream there, we're sort of trying to avoid going, oh, he's the new this person or the new that person. But he is in, dare I say it, the sort of Michael Carrick sort of mould of player, very calm on the ball, plays a good pass forward, is not rushing forward all the time, only when he's needed to go forward. So yeah, I really like the look of him, and he's been a player that I knew nothing about at all. I didn't even know who he was when he was first mentioned about Man United. As soon as the player gets mentioned, then I start going, okay, let's have a little look at this player. But I would really like him, probably number 1 over any of the other players at the moment. Anderson, excuse me, just to come back to him, I just think, you know, with the history, he was at Newcastle, and for whatever reason, he didn't play there. Eddie Howe's not daft. He didn't get into the Newcastle team. He's gone to Forest, and he's done really, really well. And again, sorry to any Forest fans that might be watching, Nottingham Forest are not Man United. And we need to
agree
that for all of these players that we're going to talk about tonight. It always gets talked about how heavy the shirts are for United, and you know the big step up in every aspect of playing football. So that also needs to be considered for these players, and that's why I like the look of Wharton. I think Anderson, I don't know whether he's ready for it yet, but he's definitely in the equation. But I really like Wharton. I really like
the thing with the 2 players we've just discussed, and to take your point on Anderson, I think the reason he didn't play much for Newcastle have such a strong midfield, mate. With they have Joe Linton, Tonali, and who's the other one? And Bruno Guimaraes, yeah. So I think that's what. But at the same time, the thing I will say about the 2 players we've just discussed, they're both young. They're both young, and they're already looking decent players. Both Premier League. In fact, to be honest, 3 of the midfielders that we're going to talk about here are Premier League proven already. Now, with Wharton, it's interesting you make the comment about Carrick. And as you know, we spoke off air, and I said, I hate it when people say he's the new this,
the new that. Yeah.
But I will say this: he's very much set up the way Carrick played. Again, he is in a system at the moment that we're trying to play. We're trying to finesse. So he would come in and know exactly what we want to do. Obviously, there's different variations of the way Palace play, the way Manchester United play. But he is very, very strong and adept at what he does. Picks the ball up, starts the attack. Now, I know there's a comment from Ben that says 1 tackle per 90 from Wharton. I'd want the DM markings more than 1 tackle a game. But do you know something? The reason he doesn't have to make as many tackles is because the players around him are so well drilled in the formation that he doesn't need to do it. And I think what you'll see with Wharton as well, you're seeing a young lad who obviously come from Blackburn, went to Palace, had a decent half a season, then had a full season last season. This kid has got the world at his feet, and there are big teams that want this player. Now, 60 million is what they're saying today in the press. They're saying that United are looking at going in January and tempting them. There was a comment from Parish from Crystal Palace, and I don't know if it was a dig at Manchester United or what, but his quote was, Adam Wharton wants to play Champions League football. So we either let him go to a club who's playing Champions League football, or we attempt to get somewhere close ourselves. And I don't know, Kev, I don't know about you, but that to me felt like a little dig of, if he's going anywhere, he ain't going somewhere like United where it's a mess. He's going somewhere where he can go and win things. And I just find that quite a fascinating comment. What about you?
Yeah, I'm really just not enjoying the way that we're being perceived as a mess at the moment. You know, I hate that. It's just never been like that. And I'm not harking back to times. You know, I don't like to hark back to times that have passed. But are we a mess? I just don't like to think of us like that. But yeah, you can't. People that know players, you know, we're just me and you. We're football fans, the same as everyone that's in the chat.
We're legends, Kev.
We can give our opinions, but
legends.
People that work with footballers and know the game, I've played the game, all that sort of stuff. They know what they're talking about. They might sometimes just say stuff for headlines, but you can't discount everything that they're saying. So there's got to be elements, little streaks of truth in what people say about the players. But yeah, him and Baleba are very similar. Really composed on the ball in that sort of middle area, and that's definitely what we lack with pace. We've got no pace, recovery pace at the moment, because it's obviously Casemiro that's doing that. Bruno's still drifting, not staying in. Again, I don't know what Amorim says to the players when they're playing. You know, if the obvious and the basics are, if one's moving forward, then you need to shout to the other lad, I'm going forward. You need to move more into the centre. That was what I noticed in the Sunderland game. Bruno going forward and Casemiro still sitting out on the right-hand side of the midfield, and there's a big gap through the middle of us. And Bruno can't recover quick enough either. He's not slow, but he's not quick enough to recover. And Casemiro is not in the middle of the pitch to stop anything coming through, or just being in a better position. And I don't like that. I don't like that aspect. So somebody with a bit more mobility, obviously younger, is going to be younger, obviously. So, yeah.
There's, Wahaha makes a great comment here. Carrick wasn't a great tackler either.
No.
But what Carrick was great at, he had such a positional awareness. He could read the game so well. And it's not always about... Who was it that said, Kev, you're a little bit older than me, so was it Maldini, or was it one of the Italian boys who said, if I have to make a tackle, I've failed. If I have to... Was it? I think it was Maldini. Or was it... Oh, God, who was it? Chat, let me know if you can think who it was. It's basically said, if I have to make a tackle, it means that I've made a mistake. And...
Well, they all love Scholes, didn't they? All of these Italian, they all love Paul Scholes, and he was the master of not being able to tackle at all. He was not a tackler at all, but everyone wanted him. Everyone puts him now, in hindsight, in their top players that they've played against, and automatically into team.
Was Maldini. I thought it was. I'm hardly ever wrong. I'm joking, of course. RSV, it's good to see you, mate. Says Carrick also had Owen Hargreaves, Fletcher, Anderson next to him in the big games. Do you know something? Owen Hargreaves that season when we won the double before he got injured really badly. Oh God,
he doesn't get mentioned at all, does he? Owen Hargreaves, really, because he just wasn't.
That free kick against Arsenal when he took the ball off Ronaldo and just whipped it into the top. Oh yeah, God.
He was injured a lot, wasn't he, Hargreaves? Didn't he have a really bad injury?
Tendinitis, it was in the end. I think that did him. I think it was tendinitis. The next player, and one that I know that Kev can definitely talk about because he went and watched him a couple of weeks ago, but we'll go on to him, is Carlos Baleba. Kev, what are your thoughts on this man?
Yeah, but he's a box-to-box player. He is. You can see in that picture there. He's broad across the shoulders. I think the cameras are very deceptive on what you see of him, and I think his head's 100% been turned by United. He's on a terrible wage at Brighton, and this boy, he wants to come to United. And I don't think if any other clubs come in for him, I think his focus is United. And you see, unless you go and watch players, I know you said you've got a friend that's a Brighton fan. You see, unless you go and watch them and see them live, and my brother's season tickets are I think they're 10 rows back from the pitch. You can hear the ball getting kicked. You can hear what the players are saying to each other. Yeah, if we could get him, I would be happy with that as well. He's number 3 for me. He's the third player on my list that I would take behind Horton and Humland, as we said. Hojland, yeah, him. He's definitely number 3 for me. But young as well. I know everyone's talking about resale value and move on value and all the rest of it and growing into the team. They're all a risk. All of these players are a risk because it's, as I've said earlier on in this stream, they're Man United players. Hi Joe, how you doing? They're coming to Man United, and everything's different for them, and it's how they're going to adapt. Like Seshko and Buemo have adapted quite well, I think, and so has Cunha. They're all Premier League players, and they seem to have taken the shirt quite well. But there's other players that didn't, and they were, set as being, these are this person, they're going to be great for the team. Like Agate, was he not PSG? He came from Agate.
Yeah, well, he was
That's where he was.
a sporting boy, wasn't he, as well? I mean, you had Amorim had him at Sporting, and when Amorim come, I was like, this guy managed, this guy. But then the other side of it, that a lot of Manchester United fans, and I don't listen to a lot of them, but some of them that I do listen to were like, he sold him.
Yeah,
he sold Ugarte.
Yeah, and PSG let him go as well. I mean, that should have been a bit of a warning. And I did see some comments, in there when they clip him up before he came to United, and you watch his best clips, which you can make look however you want to look. By the way, same as Højlund, you can make that look as however you want to look. They're absolutely amazing, but a lot of it was, well, you know what, PSG, he's not playing at PSG, he's on the subs bench or whatever. So, do we want him at United? And as I said, maybe 2 or 3 games he's played well, Ugarte, and yeah, he needs to be replaced for sure. He needs to be replaced.
There are a couple of comments which I'll come to be fair. So Nevers said, Baleba is not good enough. We're already seeing this season he didn't get the move he wanted, so he's playing badly.
I don't agree with that. He's not playing badly. He played very well.
Well, it's interesting, Kev, because I did a stint for Football's 12th Man on Friday after this show. And we had Adam on, who's a Brighton fan, and he was. I feel like at the moment Brighton fans are very, very sour tasting.
There will be. I think there will be.
And I brought your point up. I said, look, Kev, who's on my show, does a show with me. Went to watch Wolves against Brighton, and was telling me how good he was, and it was a tactical change why he come off. Oh, he wouldn't have it. He was like, no, he's just awful. So then I posed a comment back to him, and I'd like to think you'll agree with this. Here was my comment back. I said, okay, you're saying he's terrible. You're saying he's poor. You're saying he's rubbish. Blah blah blah. Why does the manager keep picking him game after game? Why is the manager after coming out and saying what he said, which was, I think the players' heads turned? Is that a sign of a manager that's doing it all wrong then? Because if it's a player for me and they're just putting stinker after stinker after not getting their move, I'm taking them out of the team. I'll take them out of the team. Yes, you run the risk of the price significantly dropping, and maybe that's what Brighton are thinking here. That's what maybe Brighton are hoping here. But I genuinely think with Baleba, if he gets the move to Manchester United or if he goes elsewhere, I think what we will see here is the Baleba of last season and the Baleba we've seen in
I agree with that.
This season. But the thing
Brighton were awful, Dan. Brighton were, as I said in the stream, Brighton were awful in that first half, terrible, and he was one of their standout players for me. And I watched him specifically because of him being taken off at halftime and the narrative that he's been taken off at halftime again. He was one of their better players in that first half. And a big thing for me is he was, as I said, he was left as the last person on all corners, high free kicks for Brighton. He was the last person. He was the only person left back on the pitch to retrieve the ball if there was a break. He was the person that was relied on to do that. So, yeah, maybe Brighton fans are just expecting more from him, and having seen so much from him last season, yeah, there probably is a drop off, and that just then goes to, he's terrible or he's not very good. He would need to pick up his level, as again, all of them would do. They're going to come and play for Man United.
And the thing is, it's a different situation here because he's at the start of his career. He's not someone I would like to hope that Manchester United are looking to go out there, pay the big money and chuck 300 grand a week at. I would like to hope that he would come to Manchester United on a contract, dare I say, modest for a midfielder in the Premier League of around 80 grand to 100 grand a week. I would like to think. Now,
well, it's what we're looking for from him. Are we looking for a plug and play? Is that what we're looking for? Or are we looking for someone that's going to need to be developed a little bit?
Correct.
Because I don't know how many plug and play players there is available around. So all of the players that we're talking about, they're all young and they're all going to fit in to a development sort of role at the club. And it is, I'm going to keep saying it, and it's getting very boring. It's Man United they're going to come and play for.
Of course they are. And Anthony says, I'm still a believer. Also, the new youngster we signed just looks like a great shout for the future. Here he is, Isaac. I hope you're well, mate. He says, Wharton is definitely the best fit in my opinion. His ability to break up play out of possession, but then in possession, his passing range would really help launch.
He looked really good.
which would suit someone like an Mbeumo down to a T. Love to see you here, Isaac. Good to see you, mate. You'll notice that we put the show a bit later for you tonight, mate. Always want to keep our OGs happy. So I mean, look, with Baleba, what I will, before we move on to the final one, for me with Baleba, has his, which is what everyone's saying, poor form attributed to us potentially being able to get him for a cheaper price this season, be it in January or summer? Probably. I also think come January, I think you will see his agent be a lot more vocal. I think you'll see the news reports doing the rounds that he wants to leave the club. So with Baleba, what I would say on this one, I'd say keep an eye on this one. I really would. I think Baleba's and look, this is the beauty of fan channels. And as you all know, people, and Kev, you know, if I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. If I come out and I say something and I need to backtrack, I will hold the L and I will backtrack. Yeah. I said a few weeks ago, I can't see Baleba in January. The more this season goes on, the more I'm starting to think, do you know something? This could be something we revisit. Same with Anderson. Wharton, I think the problem we have with Wharton is it's World Cup year, and I don't think he would want to leave a settled club like Crystal Palace at the moment with Glasner in the role until he knows exactly where Manchester United are and knows exactly what direction we're heading. Let's not forget that we are still, regardless of the fact that 50% of us who are hosting this show, i.e. me, get very angry when we lose a game and throw my toys out the pants. We've had enough. We are still in transition. The difference between us and Liverpool fans are coming out at the moment after spending 450 million, winning the Premier League last season, and are trying to say that this season is down to them being in a transition. We are genuinely in a transition phase here. Now, has the season gone as good as we'd liked? Definitely not. But this is why we're having this conversation, because as a collective, I actually genuinely believe, like Manchester United are doing their homework now and pushing to look at those midfielders. And to be fair, before we come on to the last one, Andy made a great comment. He said, if we get taken over, do you think we would go after players like Anderson? And that is a really, really good comment. And my answer to that is, Andy, I don't know. I'd like to sit here and say to you, mate, that, yeah, absolutely. But what makes me think we would is because Manchester United seem to be very much stat-driven with their pursuit of players now. They very much look like I think they're looking at what players bring on and off the ball. Anderson, for me, is a player that does both. If we get a takeover, Kev and I were having a coffee earlier on today, and I said, look, if we got the takeover, which, you know, it's not the rumours aren't rumbling away. In fact, they're picking up.
No, they're not going away. No.
If we did that, and it was someone big who did so, someone who had the money, well, then you know that the first thing they do is they clear the debt. And then I think you would see a transfer kitty that would be ridiculous. And the players like Adam Wharton, the players like Baleba, I think we would go in for them with no drama whatsoever.
We don't want them coming to us for the wrong reasons.
Correct.
We don't want them coming to us because, it's a payday. There'll still be that line of, do they want to come to us? And I like that. I do like that idea that we're only going to take players that want to come and play for us.
Yeah.
You know, it seems a dead simple thing to say, but I'm not sure that's always been the case with players that have come to United. You know, certainly in the past when it was the
last 13 years, Kev. Last 13 years, that's been our biggest issue. We've overpaid to get these players through the door, and Angel Di Maria is the biggest case of that. Guy didn't want to come to us. Guy had no interest in coming to us. He come to us because we paid the money, the stupid money, and we did the what we've been so famed for doing over the past few years. Look, we'll pay you stupid money to come and play for us. You pay stupid money for someone who doesn't want to be here, they will play stupidly. They really will. So I agree with that. And Isaac, just a quick one with regards to the times. And to be fair to everyone who's on the show, I should have said this at the start, really, but I was too enamored with the new setup, and no one's commented on it yet. Spent ages doing this new setup last night, but I think you will. The time of the shows, me trying to get home from work and get on for 7:30, it's not working. I'm rushing home from work, and I manage a lot of people at work, so my head's battered. So after looking through the analytics on the channel, looking at when people, you good people, are quite live and quite active on YouTube, 8 o'clock seems a decent time. So we will be sticking with this moving forward, and hopefully for the last time we'll be changing. Johnny says, I'm worried that Amrin will ask for Gallagher again, and we will end up seeing a Gallagher Gallagher, Bruno midfield, leaving me to drink fairy liquid. I would like to hope not. Before, in fact, actually,
Johnny, he's not been mentioned again, has he? Gallagher's not been mentioned again.
I hope not. But as January comes, it will happen, won't it? Just to end the poll quickly, we got 77% of you said you would sell Xerxes and Mainu. That's I'm surprised at that. Very surprised at that.
It's a great number, Dan. It's a great number. 77.
It is a great number. You had something to do. You definitely had something to do with that. Definitely, you've been hacking the system there. Isaac says surely the same would be for Anderson as well with the World Cup year condition, potentially. But I think the difference between Wharton and Anderson, Wharton is at a club at the moment that is so far up the table, higher than a lot of Palace fans would have expected, coming off the back of an incredibly brilliant unbeaten run. Whereas Forest at the moment don't know, and this is no disrespect, Isaac, they don't know which manager is going to be there. And I think there's a lot of turmoil there. Now, you obviously know more than I do. You're a fan, and actually, I will definitely give you your flowers when I say this, Isaac. You're a very, very smart fan. You look at football in a very statistic way, which is brilliant. So I would throw it back to you with what's happening at the moment at Forest. Imagine you get Sean Dyche as well. Like, I know there's comments, it could be Benitez, it could be Dyche. I just wonder if stuff like that would push Anderson out the door. But I'll look for your comment, mate, to reply to that. Johnny says, what we have got to ask the midfielder who joins is, can they handle Bruno standing next to them moaning all game? Great comment. Anderson and Baleba would be better options. I think either would solve our midfield. Carl says, I was waiting for someone to say this. We're only 6 points off the top of the table at the end.
Off the back of that as well, we all do need to. What are we? It's 6 games. 6 games played.
7.
6. We're not 25 games into the season. This is still dead early on in the season, and so much can change for all the teams that are up at the top there. The season's already been surprising for some of the results that have happened. It's already been surprising, and God help anyone that's trying to put bets on, because as I've said for years when I tried to make bets on, you cannot predict results these days. You just cannot predict
Absolutely them. Absolutely not. Josh King, any relation, mate? Says something that goes under the radar is Mount being on ridiculous money and managing 50 minutes a week. Okay, let me. I'll answer this one because I've been very impressed with Mount this season, I must say, and I think we missed him when he was injured. Mount is on big wages. He is. There's no hiding from that. He's the number 7 at the club, and he's on big wages. So people are always going to be looking at Mason Mount, and that's fair. That's fair. But the managing 50 minutes a week, I don't think that's on Mount. I think what we are seeing at the moment from Amorim, the fact because he's been so in and out of the team for the last 2 years. Yeah, exactly. I think it is that though, Kev. I think we're managing him still. I think, in fact, I'll tell you what, I'll throw this back to you, Kev, and I'll throw this back to you, Josh, as well. So make sure you reply, bud. Do you ever see Mason Mount happy to be coming off the pitch when he's subbed off?
Well, you know what? You can just put that no player's happy to come off the pitch. But I think the way he's getting handled at the moment, I don't want him to get injured again. No. I don't want him getting injured again because as soon as he disappeared, then everyone forgets about him. But as soon as he comes back, he makes a difference. Doesn't matter what anybody says, he makes a difference. And if you're not agreeing with that, just have a little look at the goal he scored. By the way, I don't know whether anyone saw the little Twitters and the TikToks and all the rest of it, the Instagrams. That was 19 passes that we held the ball on for before Mbeumo put that ball into Mason Mount. Right foot, left, controlled with his left foot, scored with his right foot, controlled finish, edge of the box. Great finish, but because it's not Messi that put it in, it's just Mason Mount that's put that in.
And this is the other thing with Mason Mount as well. Like, there's 2 players that we're going to have at this club that at the moment, for up until Christmas, and I'd say perhaps longer with the next one I'm going to talk about at the club, we have to manage them because of the injuries they've had. And the other one I will say that I would be furious to see playing more than 60 minutes for the first 3 or 4 games he comes back is Lisandro Martinez.
Yeah, absolutely.
And dare I say, is this not? We look at it as the manager, we look at it as the player, managing 50 minutes, 60 minutes coming off. Or do we think that the medical team is doing their job for once and actually saying, look, he will be able to play for you, but you cannot play him for longer than this. We need to build him up. So look, we've not had Mason Mount for a long time at United. Come with a big wage and come with a big transfer fee with a number 7 on the back. Let's let this guy play and let's see how he adapts. Because at the moment, I would go as far to say that this season he's probably been in the top 5 best performers for United.
That's on top of the whole time he's been at Man United. He has been getting from a massive percentage of United fans so much criticism, but he still keeps coming back and he still keeps proving. And as we've had conversations about as well, and I know it's in the past, you don't get player of the season for your club seasons on season if you're not a good player.
Champions League season as well, I think it was, wasn't
that doesn't happen. So I mean, yeah, we can go, well, it's Chelsea, but yeah, well, Chelsea are a big club as well, and there was some pretty good players in that Chelsea team, by the way, that he was outshining and getting player of the season. So yeah, I'm happy that he's getting managed at the moment. I would hate to see him get injured again.
Correct. People saying, not going to lie, because of Wolfie, I'll be celebrating when Forest go down. And on a side note, feel free to go on Wolfie's page and vote for Sean Dyche. Happy. Look,
what I was just going to say, Dan, I've not seen for ages is Sophie, and there she is. Look there.
I was just thinking that, and I just clocked her. Just clocked her on the bottom now. I'll come down to Queen Sophie in a second. Look, again, nothing but love for Wolfie. Wolfie's a top bloke. He just knows exactly how to say it and when to say it to wind people up. Andy says, would you keep Jason Wilcox if we got taken over? Yes, I would. I'm of the opinion that if we're going to be taken over, if we're going to be taken over, you can't change everything in a week. So I think he should be given the chance to see what we can do. And actually, Jason Wilcox, for all of the people giving him so much stick, this guy brought heaven to the club. This guy brought Chida Obi to the club. He was a big part of Mbeumo coming to the club. He was a big part of Cunha coming to the club. Kone coming to the club. Kone moving forward. Yeah, he has a big hand in the youngsters and what they do. So I don't think he's done too much wrong, to be honest. Isaac did come back and said that, but the thing is, though, Anderson has a massive opportunity to get high minutes at Forest this season, especially with the extra European football as well. I take that on board. Look, it's a crazy point. I want Anderson. I do. I'll say it right now. I want Anderson. And when we finish with the final player we're going to talk about, we're going to speak about who we want most. We're going to put in 1 to 4. I know Kev's kind of been saying it already. I'm going to put a vote on as well with for you guys to have a look at. But I do want Anderson. Never says sacking Hammer in mid-season would be a huge mistake, even if we go back to 4-3-3. We don't have enough players to cover the positions. Interesting comment. Mount, in all fairness, this season is looking fire, says Anthony. I agree with that. Queen Sophie, good to see you. Hope you are well. I did enjoy. You wouldn't have thought I'd been on holiday. Look at how bloody pale I am already. Jesus, honestly.
His pink skin has disappeared already.
I chose one t-shirt. I should have chosen a nice salmon one. I think. Giles says Mount is on a redemption story, and Carl says I'll back you up with the Mount point 100%. And yes, make sure you are smashing the likes, hit the subscribe button, help this channel grow. You all are fantastic in what you do there. Andy says Martinez needs to pick his tackles, not go for unnecessary ones. Be interesting to see. I mean, the word coming out today is I do believe that if what I've seen is true, we were all getting excited. I was as well. We thought after the October international break he'd start to be reintegrated, but Manchester United are now saying after the November international break. And again, I'll go back to exactly what I said before. I'm okay with that. I want this guy nurtured back into the club. He is a big part of the way that this formation works. People have said a lot about Luke Shaw at left-sided centre-back. It's not good enough. He's susceptible. What you get with Martinez is aggression, but ball playing as well. So be interesting, and I hope that he does come back.
And the opposition fear him a little bit.
They do.
We don't have enough players like that in the team where they just go, bloody hell, Martinez is in the team. Oh, we can't go against him today.
And for me, I think he's captain material as well. I genuinely
want to say, but yes, because I know a lot of people think De Ligt, and I agree with that. But yeah, he's definitely in the equation for that.
And then the final, Josh has come back and said, I have no doubts that Mount has a great mentality and that he's a great player, but regardless of how good he is, he can't be paid the same as Mbeumo for 30% of the games played over a season. Well, Josh, I take that on board, but at the moment he's only missed 2 games through injury this season. This season, we know how bad it's been. You know, I know, Warbzo knows, everyone knows. Sophie knows, and she's a Newcastle fan. Jarl knows. Andy knows, everyone. If Moxie was here, he'd know. You know, Wahaha knows, Kev knows. This season, we were always going to look at this as a new Manchester United. And yes, this Manchester United at the moment this season isn't the one that we want it to be yet. There are so many flaws still in this Manchester United side. But I think with Mount, I think it's only fair to judge him at the end of the season if he stays fit. Let's judge him at the end of the season. If we're looking at Mason Mount at the end of the season with 12, 13 goals, 10 assists, I'll sit here and tell you I think that's a decent return. I think that is a decent return, considering at the moment, whether you like it, not you, Josh, I mean, as a collective, whether you like it or not, he is keeping Cunha out the side. Because you're not going to pick Cunha ahead of him after the last game. There's no chance. And I think it's proven that. Warbso says, I know defenders aren't top of the list, but I'd love for us to go get Schlotterbeck. Cannot let Liverpool get him, potentially. 3-star Reds, hope you're well. Says, evening, Dan. If we carry on as we are doing Elliot Anderson, we will be pulling on a United jersey in January. There we go. Before we come through to the other comments, I do want to get onto the final midfielder that I want to talk about, and then we'll get back to the comments. So make sure you keep them coming in. We will get through them. The final midfielder. Now, did you have this one on your list? I don't think you did you? Angelo Stiller. If Moxie was here, Moxie would be absolutely dancing about this one because he has been talking about him for a while. Now, Angelo Stiller, Stuttgart, plays defensive midfield. He's got 3 assists this season. His passes per 90 is 73, quite high. Pass completions, 90%. Key passes per game, he's averaging 1.5 a game. Dribbles per 90, just under 1. It makes me laugh, these stats, because then it says successful dribbles, 80%. So he's only dribbling once. Is he just picking it and run it and kicking it? This is a guy that's been linked towards the end of. He was linked with us towards the end of the summer transfer window. There was talk that we'd gone over there with the representation of United to try and sign him up. Now, what I will say, I do like Stiller. I think he's a very, very good, and I'll say it again, young midfielder. We can see in the way that he plays defensive midfield, he's got a couple of assists in him. My only question mark with Stiller is this. Is he adaptable to play in the Premier League? He's played for Stuttgart. We're not getting him from one of the big boys. We've seen Florian Wirtz, and this isn't me trying to bait Liverpool fans at all, so please don't think this. But we've seen Wirtz come from Germany, and he has not looked good. He has looked lost. And yes, you can have some Liverpool fans will have the argument, oh, but he creates this, he creates that, and oh, he did a spin-a-rooney flick to Salah, and when he nearly scored, bull, absolute bull. We are in a day and age now where we are reminded as Manchester United fans that stats matter by rival fans. Well, at the moment, Florian Wirtz's stats are 009, 009. So what my question is, would Stiller suffer the same fate if he come to United from Germany? Or is it
excuse me,
that we look at that can come and adapt? He is a beast, and Andy has said so as well. He is an absolute beast. But I just have reservations about this. You don't want to talk about him, you don't know, do you?
I don't. It's not on my list. I don't. People have talked about him a lot, so I can only go on what people are saying. You know him well. You think he's a good player. Other people are saying he's a good player. He's a beast. I think it's just got mentioned in the comments there. So I will have to just hold my hands up and go, okay. Like I was talking to you before, I didn't really know anything about Adam Wharton either until I started watching him. So yeah, it's when people mention players, then you start paying a little bit more attention to what they're doing and having a little look at what you can find of them. I'm always a bit sort of standoffish on clips, YouTube clips, because they can be made, same as stats, all of stats, Dan, that they can be made to look however they want to be made to look. We bought Hoyland, and I went and looked at his YouTube clips, and I was like, oh, hey, wow, this is a play. Look at these runs he's making. Look at these left foot shots he's hitting, right foot shots he's hitting, and he didn't cut it eventually. Yeah, I know he's gone to Napoli. What kind of league is the Italian league? But he's doing well enough. But maybe that's his level. Maybe there's his level there.
I agree. Anthony says, why go for Stiller? I do like him, but you have 2 or 3 just as good or better with Prem experience.
I like the idea of somebody from the Premier League. That's what I like the idea of. That's why I think Belabor and Wharton and even Anderson, these are the players that I would think it's the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do, to take Premier League players that have played in the Premier League, not half a season, not the back end of a season, 2 or 3 seasons. I know Šeško didn't, but he's fitted in quite well and he's doing quite well. But the other boys that we've taken, the newer players that we've taken, they've come from the Premier League. Yeah. And it shows. It shows when they play in the game. Then there's no fear from them and they're playing well. Cunha, we've said about his anxieties. He gets a little bit snatchy in front of the box, but his play up to the edge of the box, control on the ball, turning, breaking the lines, which is I love players that are going to break the lines and try and take people on, whether it's 6 times out of 10 and the rest of the time they're losing the ball. I don't care as long as they're trying to break the lines. And these are players that are, because they know how to do it. They know the players they're playing against and they know how to play against them. And the league is just changing so much that I think Premier League proven players are the way to go. But you can't discount players coming from other places, other leagues, but there's always going to be the worry of the heaviness of the shirt and can they adapt to the Premier League. But that you would hope is with Jason Wilcox and with the scouting team and going,
great.
I think these players are players that can play in the Premier League because they've done it and they know what it takes to play in the Premier League.
And Sophie made a good comment. She says, I think Stiller would adapt to the Premier League eventually, but the Premier League is a lot more physical than the Bundesliga, so it may take time. And I think
all the players say that. All the players say that. Not just United, not players that have come to United. All players that get interviewed that have come from other leagues say the same thing. It's far more physical and it's a lot faster.
Yeah, no, I agree. Josh says, why don't we just sign Caicedo and Rice?
Yeah,
I'll go get Margot Robbie and Anne Hathaway as well to marry me.
Just get João Neves from PSG as well.
I'd love. I'd love Ruben Neves. Ruben Neves, I'd love him. I'd absolutely love that boy. Palace owner said they aren't selling. I love this. Right, so Queen Sophie says this. Are you ready for this? Palace owner said they aren't selling Wharton unless it's mega money. Well, Haha comes back with, well, mega money it is then.
Because we'll have mega money soon enough. We'll have mega money.
Hopefully. Sophie then says, I think you get Belabor. To be honest, his head is already turned. Been terrible for Brighton. And Josh says Amorim could do a job for us surely in midfield. He probably could. He's not far off Casemiro, is he? Mustafa, good to see you. Hope you're well, my friend. Hope you're well.
Amorim did make a comment that he would, he would have loved to have come and played for United, and he was fairly decent player, and he always did a really good job. Okay. Yeah, he never let a team down. Apparently, when he played, I've tried to look for the clips of him, but you can't.
Played against us a couple
of
times.
He did. Yeah, he did.
He was all right. 60 million will be mega money, says Pav.
For who?
Yeah, for who actually? Pav, is that for Wharton? I think
Belabor, Wharton, Anderson.
And God forbid this season ends in relegation. We will be having one mega fire sale in this summer at Forest.
We're not getting relegated.
No, Forest.
Forest. Oh right, okay, Forest.
I don't think Forest get relegated. I think it's
the bookies are starting to put them in the list as well. But I mean, Burnley are in that list and they're way high up the league. Wolves are on the list as well. Leeds are on the list as well. So I mean, it's just.
Are we?
No, we're not at all. Absolutely not.
That's what we like.
Why would we be? We're only 6.
Of course, mate. Exactly that. Here comes the hammering of the keys again. And so basically, the question I'm going to give you the question here: who do we go for in January? So we have got Adam Wharton. We have got.
You're going to put 4 players in there.
I'm going to put the 4 in. Yeah, we've got Stiller. We've got Anderson. I always think of the Matrix for that, Mr. Anderson, and we have Belabor. So get your votes in, guys and girls. Simple question. I always say simple question. I need to think about the way I do this. Simple question. Who do we go for? Wharton, Stiller, Anderson, or Belabor? I can see Kev's already going to do his vote.
No, I'm looking at the players we've not met. I'm looking at the other players I'm on my list that I'm going to chuck in as for other people to have in their brains as well. That that I've looked at.
Fire
So
away.
there's a player who's currently playing. It was an Inter player who's on loan at Torino at the moment. Christian Aslani, 30 to 40 million potentially. Not a headline grabbing player, but technically solid and an opportunistic deal. If other people stall on him, he's a little bit lightweight. That's anything with him. A little bit lightweight. Lucien Agume, I think I've seen some clips of him and I wasn't too sure about him either. He's at Sevilla.
I called this guy. I said this guy weeks ago and people told me to shut up, from Sevilla.
Well, he 20 to 25 million potentially for him. Good squad depth. If budget prioritises defence and attack, can play this boy, can. I mentioned João Neves. He's a low down the list. And you know the one I said before we started, which you just immediately went no, and because of the ego. But mentioned Enzo Fernandez.
No chance. There is. I mean, 160 million. And you know what? Enzo Fernandez.
100 million plus, yeah, for Enzo Fernandez. Yeah,
him and Mount, they fucking hate each other.
They do. They had a scrap in the game. They had a big. But I mean, that you can put that towards. The players have had scraps. I mean, Martinez, I think, went flying in on Mount in a couple of games, and they're in the same team now anyway, so that's fine. But yeah, there's other players as well that were mentioned. When I did my research, there was other players that were mentioned. Morten Humlen is the one. He's the one that is he's the plug and play player. Apparently, he's the plug and play player. And then I'd go down from that, and I didn't have Anderson on my list, but I'll put him on the list. Wharton Baleba are my players that I would put in, and I didn't even think of your guy Stiller as well, but he sounds like a solid option as well. So there is plenty of players about, but you know what January's like. Are we going to get these in January? We're talking about next season. Are we going to battle through? And you never know what could happen. It could be an injury. Mainu comes in and starts playing like a star player. There was also this player that's been loaned. Yeah, I can't even think of his name. The young lad that's been loaned out. He was Collier. Everyone was talking about him being, oh well, why don't we try him in the midfield? No one's even mentioning him now either. Has he even played?
He's at West Brom and he's got a few games.
I've not even been paying attention to what he's doing, but I mean, he was getting mentioned as well. Can we not just put him in? So there's plenty out there. There's plenty of options. And again, the main underliner is we do want players that want to come and play for us. And the one that jumps at that at the moment is Baleba.
And I think that's where I'm at as well. You know, obviously my first choice would be I love Anderson, but I think Baleba is probably the one out of the four that we're talking about that if Manchester United actually wanted to go out there and do it and wanted to ruffle the feathers and wanted to test the waters, he's the one I think they're going to have the best opportunity to do so. And mainly for the fact, I think I do, regardless of what people think, I think his head has been turned by Manchester United.
100%.
And I think he wants to be there. So,
but is Elliot Anderson even? Has there even been any sort of discussion? Is there anybody even mentioned in any sort of interview with him? As you know, there's talk of Man United. You know, we've not even got any sort of sense of what his thoughts are on that at all. You would just go. You know, he was at Newcastle. Arguably, is Newcastle bigger than Forest? I don't know. That's arguing. You know, we've got Newcastle and Forest fans in the chat there. They can argue that one out. But I would probably lean towards Newcastle as being the bigger club than Forest, although Forest have won a lot of things. You know, their history is really big as well. So, again, that's arguable. So, you know, he has been at a big club. And you were talking about he couldn't get into the midfield. Well, that there is something in that yeah, these are big players. So we can't push these players out of the club. Yeah, he was young at the time. I like the idea of the comment that somebody made that he's going to be playing Champions League now. That's going to be a big test to see how he's up against European players in Champions League, the highest level of domestic football that you can play in. So I'll be intrigued to see how he gets on. And yeah, maybe those are my top three. Excluding Morton, I'm just going to call him Morton. Excluding him, excluding him because nobody. Go on, say it.
Hjulmand,
yeah. So excluding him because nobody's talking about him. I think our top are Wharton, Baleba, and Anderson.
I think I would agree.
Players that we need to be looking at. And guess what? All of them play in the Premier League.
It says it exactly what you need, though. It's exactly what we want. It's exactly what we need. Johnny says, my issue with the guy from Sporting, Hulmand, is I'm not comfortable with a guy in a United shirt and an Arsenal tattoo on his arse. I can be fact checked on this, but I think I'm right. Well, you've got Alejandro Garnacho, who's got United all over him at the moment on his tattoos, hasn't he? That's going to be an expensive cover up for him because I think it's on his back.
Well, they're saying 55 to 65 million for him. So Wharton 60 million plus, Baleba 75 to 90 million. That might have dropped a little bit now. I don't know what Anderson would fetch. I don't know. There's not even been any mention of what sort of price he would go for. Really.
They would want ridiculous money. I mean, I saw on Transfer Market, I think it was like 35, 40 million, and I thought, no chance. Marianakis would want 60, 70, 80 million for him, without a doubt. But
I do just want to mention quickly before you move on, sorry, what a cock-up that was for Forest. And sorry, Forest, what a cock-up bringing Anjan. What a massive mistake that was. It just wasn't the right person at all. That's just been that must be so embarrassing for Forest fans. I would be massively embarrassed if that would have happened. Making that big song and dance about changing him, and talks gone on before Nuno had even left the club and everything. And yeah, terrible. I feel so bad for Forest fans that they've had to put up with that now.
And it's the talk, isn't it, that apparently, and some of the Forest fans who are in here might be able to fact check, but I heard a lot of rumours that there was a lot of the signings they made this summer were kind of
for Big Ange.
For Big Ange, so we'll see. Look, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And Marianakis
7 games. I mean,
could turn it around. Stranger things have happened.
Second season, just let him into the second season.
He'll into the second season. There won't be any competitions for him to win then. Finally, before I say goodbye to you all, we did speak about it before. I did just want to clear this up. Harry Maguire, there was talk about Saudi move for 500k. Now there is talk that United are in talks to extend his deal to 2027. This is factoring on Manchester United agreeing with Harry Maguire for his wages to be dropped from 190k to between 100 and 120. Now, I'm going to ask you, Kevin, I'll ask the chat. Would you take Harry Maguire for 100k a week, extend his contract?
I've told you, you know what my answer is to that. I said to you the other day what we need to do with Harry Maguire.
For the masses.
He's gone. He needs to go. He needs to be moved on. It's his time. Same as Bruno. I love Harry Maguire. He's been a great. He came to us as one of the best defenders around when he came to us. Yeah, we overpaid and But that's that again. That's hype that we overpaid for him. But he was an England stalwart. He kept getting picked for England. Every single squad, he kept getting picked. He was our captain, by the way. If we forget that very quickly, he was our captain for a long time.
Captain than Bruno.
Whether that was right or wrong, he was the captain. He's got a voice. He's a big lad, and he knew the game, and he came with a big reputation. But his time has finished at United now. That's just another hanger-on of. Why give him 100k? Let's not give him anything. Let's give somebody else 100k. Let's get somebody else in. Give the 100k plus to somebody else, the same as Bruno. So if this is the ruthlessness that we need to have now, the same as the other clubs, and oh my God, I'm going to say it, the same as what used to happen in the Ferguson era. If the player was done, the player was done. Move on. Get them out of the club. Get the next player in. And we can all go, oh my God, we've let that player go. Oh my God, here's the new player. By the way, how good is he? So yeah, there is history in just letting players go, and more recent years, we're just hanging these players on. And people have said that in the chat when we've been doing this. People have said we're just playing these players that are not. Their time is done, and they need to be moved on. And we need to be more ruthless like that, same as we do on the pitch when we're playing.
Here's my thing with Harry Maguire. It's a funny one for me because.
And I like him. I like him. I do like him.
My thing with Harry Maguire is, look, on the face of it, I agree with everyone in the chat here. I think it's time for him to go. I do. Regardless of the fact he wants to take a pay cut. How often do we see these Manchester United players? Like, that is the epitome of a player who wants to play for the club. Unfortunately,
I know, I think he does. He definitely does.
His time's come. His time's gone. And I think here's where it is for me. You cannot keep both De Ligt and Maguire at the club. You
No,
can't.
they're exactly the same player. They're exactly the same player.
De Ligt's better. De Ligt's better.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to give him a new contract, I think it would be ridiculous. It wouldn't surprise me if we give him a new contract. I think it's a case of if he does sign, you know exactly what will happen. Amorim will come out, Jason Wilcox will come out, or Barada will come out and say he's well respected within the club. He's been here. He's a loyal servant. This isn't the time for us to talk about loyal servants anymore. Because look,
we need to be brief.
I've got a guy who works for us. He's been with us for years. Loyal as they come. Bloody awful. Awful at his job. Do you know what I mean? Awful at his job. Lovely bloke. When the time has come for you to leave the club, we're never going to get resale value. That's 100 grand that we could spend on someone else, or 120 grand. And more to the point, we know that the long term profile of Manchester United is Lenny Yoro one day moving into that centre back role. So with Maguire gone, you've got De Ligt who will play there solidly. If he gets injured, you put Yoro in there, and then you build the players.
We've got Heaven as well. We've got Martinez as well. And I know there's this Fredrickson. I've not been massively impressed with him, but he's hovering about as well. So, you know, it's not like we're shy. Is it because we want a big name? Well, we've got a couple of big names. We've got at least three big names that are sitting there, and that's not even including Luke Shaw in all of that. And his time is coming to an end as well. So, yeah.
And just quickly, I'll end the poll quickly, and then I'll finish on a funny comment that I read from an interview. So, 45% of you have said Belabor is who we go for. Fantastic! Thank you for voting there. Now I will end.
I see. None for Stiller.
None for Stiller. Yeah, I know, it's mad. If Moxie was here, he'd have definitely voted him. The final thing I want to end on is I saw this and I had to. Oh God, did I have to chuckle? It was an interview with our Lord and Savior, Onana. And Onana said, I'm not coming back to Manchester.
Oh, no. You're joking.
I'm coming back to prove a point.
All right. Oh, he's coming.
He's coming back to prove a point. So I'll leave that there with you, Manchester.
You can keep the seat on the bench really, really warm with a big arse. Is that the point he's going to prove?
No matter how bad it gets, just remember, Onana's coming back to prove us all wrong. Thank you very much, everyone, for sticking around tonight. If you're watching this on replay, make sure you get your comments in, and I'll try and get back to them as quick as I can. Kev, where can we find you, mate? And what stuff have you got coming out soon?
Same old. You know, I'm on the two channels. I've got the cars and the racing channel, which you had to go today in my racing rig, which you did not bad in. You quite enjoyed that.
Myself. Did have all the settings up and automatic.
You don't need to say that. You didn't need to say that. We could have just kept that quiet. Kev87. We're pushing for 11k. I'm not far off 11k now. If you like music, get involved. I'm just on a journey. I've got a musical background. Was in a band, etc. So I love music, and I've loved discovering all these new bands. They're all amazing. Nothing craps on the channel. There's a few people that cross over now, like Wahaha, you know, Bojidar and Ben, and a few other people. Moxie and Chappie have been in as well. So thanks to everyone crossing over, and I'm trying to cross people over to this channel as well to get people in. But yeah, Kev87, go and give it, join in the community. And I do a live on a Saturday, which you were all in on yesterday, and we had a good sing song as well. So yeah, thoroughly enjoying being part of your channel as well, Dan. You know, I'm reluctant to be part of it, even though you're encouraging me. You know, I'm saying people.
I've got no choice now, mate. I spent hours doing this setup last night. I don't think I could do it again.
Exactly. But yeah, that's where I am, and I'll be here with you, Dan, whenever you want me to be, and we'll be doing the reactions. And we're looking at me being involved a few times a week on your live streams as well. So happy to do it, and happy to be instructed and guided by all of you in the chat, and you, Dan, as well, because this is not my forte, doing the football chat and everything. This is new to me. I'm learning how to be, and find out information and stuff like that. I know that was a lot of waffle. So I was about all the waffle.
Spot on. Right then, guys. Thank you very much, chat. Thank you, OGs. You have been fantastic as always. We will be back at 8 p.m. tomorrow. The time will be 8 p.m. Football will be back on Friday. We've got the rest. We've got the rest of the week to get through with the international dross, and then we can get back to football. But other than that, guys, we'll be on the flip side. Dan United, Brian Brigade, Belabor Brigade, Kev Brigade, Uta.